what has been your take in the past, say, 10 years when it came to summer scouting, getting prepared for early season?
All right. So I have converted or reverted, whatever you want to say. It's probably more of the reverted side of the thing that I've done here in the last like 4 years. But in the past, I would go out this time of the year and I would like find a long creek and I would find every crossing in that creek and then I would set a camera on every crossing. I had like 10 cameras then. Now I've got three and I barely even use them. But I would set a camera on every crossing. And then when I found a buck that I wanted, I would pull all the other cameras off that creek and I would basically like drop a net on him. And I'd go, if I had seven other cameras, eight other cameras, whatever it was, I would do four on this side, four on this side. And where that trail split, I would set cameras all around it. And what would happen was at the main crossing, if I got him once, maybe twice a week, I was like, all right, this is not, I can't work with this. But if I was getting a buck three, four, five times a week, I said, okay, I am close to where I need to be. And so I would kind of backtrack, which is a very tricky thing to do because not only are you leaving scent, but you're disturbing the area and you've got to work in like 1 2 week increments, 2 week max. So like every week I was going in running these cameras and this process started like, let's say July 4th was kind of my starting date and I would run a creek. And if there wasn't anything I was interested in, I would pull off that creek, go another one. And if it wasn't a creek, it was a big cutover edge or something, and everything working out of it. Any sign I could find, I would work off of it, basically. But coming back to it, I would basically narrow that buck down until I was getting him very regularly, like more days. I was getting pictures of him more days than I wasn't. And then once you get that, you basically start identifying his main travel routes and stuff like that. And I am not a braggadocious guy, but I got really good at it to where in 3 years time, I had 17 bucks and 15 of them I killed early season, like first 2 weeks of the season doing this process right here. And it got to be a little bit monotonous because it's so much work and it's so much time that you're spent away from doing other things. I love fish. So I can't sacrifice the morning to go do all this stuff when I want to go fishing. So now I have reverted back to basically I will walk an edge. I'll still walk the creeks, find the crossings, but I've kind of refined it down to finding that crossing that relates to bedding and food. And if you find a crossing that's very near, like what y'all refer to as whip rubs, the small rubs that are made generally in early season, that's just a secondary, factor that comes into it. Let me know that there is a buck or was a buck using this trail right here, this crossing in the past, and he may still be there. But if he's not, guaranteed there's another buck using that too, because bucks generally do the same thing year after year after year. It may not be the same buck, but his prodigy or a buck that followed him in the past is going to do the same thing. So that crossing, the perfect crossing, in my opinion, is one that's a creek running north-south, which most of them are generally. They're in a northerly or southerly direction, that I can find a good tree to shoot downwind, and I'm going to wait to hunt these areas with a front, which typically coincides with a northerly wind of some kind. Northwest wind would be ideal on a creek running northwest southeast. I'll get on the downwind side on that front. And that being said, I don't believe bucks move on a front because they're cold, so to speak. I think it's just like anything else where a comfortable day, you're willing to get out and move more than you would like today when it sucks outside. But yeah, that's the thing. When I can find a crossing and a setup that's perfect with big tracks crossing the creek, that years past sign in that area, and then I've got food over here, bedding over here, which is very typical in a river bottom because you've got a lot of timber cutting going on, which creates good cover, habitat, stuff like that. And then, those creeks are going to be their set aside land, or what do you call them? SMZs. Yeah. Stream management zones, where they don't cut. They got a buffer along each side of that creek for the hardwoods to prevent erosion and stuff like that. So it doesn't always end up like that. In y'all's part of the country, which I've hunted a bunch, there's one WMA that I like to turkey hunt across the Mississippi line. I'm not going to name the names, Jacob, but it's a lot of that. It's rolling hills. It's which is not a determining factor for y'all, but a lot of cutovers, a lot of creek bottoms, drainages, stuff like that. And then you've got a lot of hardwoods on those hillsides too. So the hardest part in y'all's area is when you've got a big drain and you've got hardwoods in that drain and you've got cover on both sides. That's where it gets very interesting. And there's nothing you can do about it but give it that college try and go in there and try to set yourself up in the perfect position and then go for it. That's all you can do.